Today we're going to look at chord names, chord structures, and how to build them up. There's lots of different ways to look at building chords and what makes a chord a certain type of chord, but we'll try and keep it pretty basic for the sake of getting started. I think it's best to take a look at the piano to visually demonstrate this. Where instruments like guitar and bass have their notes laid out chromatically, the piano lays it out pretty simply. For simplicity, we'll do this example in the key of C. That means no accidentals like sharps or flats. In the context of the piano, that means we're only going to be using the white keys. Our C scale goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C to complete our octave. In music, we identify our intervals as numbers. The long and short of building chords is a simple method where we use one and then we skip one. So let's build a C major chord. Start from C, skip the next one, use the next one, skip the next one, and use the next one. This builds a C major triad. It has a root, a perfect fifth, and a major third, which gives us a major chord sound. Now, using that method, let's build the next triad we have in this key, starting from the next interval up. We have D, we're going to skip E, use F, skip G, and use A. There's our D chord. This makes a D minor chord, as it has a root, a perfect fifth, and a minor third. If we follow the same pattern, we get these triads from the key of C. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. Now, if we want to make a song in the key of C, picking any of these chords will work. In the same way we assign the notes numbers, we can assign the chords numbers too, which we write as Roman numerals, using the uppercase Roman numeral as a major chord and the lowercase Roman numeral as a minor chord. You might have heard about chord progressions being referred to like this. There are common chord progressions in different genres of music, like a 1-4-5, a 2-5-1, or a 1-6-4-5. This is a really useful way to learn a lot of songs and only have to remember what key it's played in. So we've learned how to build all of our triads in a major key. And by the way, if you want to know how to do it in minor keys, it's the exact same. All major keys have relative minor keys that are the exact same, just from a different starting point. The sixth chord of all major keys will be the relative minor of that key. So for example, if you want to play in A minor, all the chords we just made with C major will fit in the same way, just starting from the A minor's perspective. Now we've made our triads, but let's say we want to get a little more interesting in their chord options. Let's expand past the triad theory and start to get into seventh chords. We're going to utilize our use skip method again, this time going as far as the seventh note. This is where naming chords gets a tiny bit confusing. In the same way you can have a major third and a minor third that dictates the sound of a triad, we can have a major and minor seventh as well. When reading chords, when I see C written, I assume it's a C major unless it says otherwise, like this C minor. So that's rule number one. And rule number two, if I see a type of seventh chord, I will default assume the seventh interval is the minor seventh unless it says otherwise. So here we have C major 7 is a C major chord with a major seventh note on top. A C minor 7 is a C minor chord with a minor seventh note on top. And then a C7 or a C dominant 7 is a C major chord with a minor seventh on top. And lastly, a C minor major seventh is a C minor chord with a major seventh on top. So back to our example in the key of C, our diatonic chords are now C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7 or G dominant 7, A minor 7, and B half diminished. Now let's take this further and make some compound chords. This means using our ninths, our 11ths, and our 13ths. Same exact rules apply. Use and skip. You might be noticing that our ninth note is the exact same as our second note. So why not just call it a second? The reason is because when we see a ninth chord, the seventh is already implied. To get to 9, we have to go through 1, 3, 5, and 7 first. If, for example, I wanted to add a 9 to a C major chord without the 7th being involved at all, it would quite literally be a C add 9. I've seen them called C add 2s before, but it's more common to refer to them as a 9 in this context. There are other chords, like sus2 chords and sus4 chords, but that really just implies an effect on the third. Sus chords, or suspended chords, have their third replaced with either the second or the fourth, respectively. Also, regarding ninth chord names, when I said the 7th was implied, I really meant it. C major 9, C minor 9, and C dominant 9 all have the same 9th note, and it's still the 7th that follows the rule previously illustrated. 11th chords and 13th chords are built the exact same way. We use and we skip. At this stage, you may be running out of fingers, strings, or even the physical ability to reach. This now becomes a case of selecting the notes that you would like to use and hear for this chord. As a rule of thumb, the first note to go is usually the perfect fifth, as it doesn't really play a huge part in identifying the chord of its key features. But that's down to you. If I wanted to play, for example, a G13 chord on guitar, I would try to get the most pertinent tones involved. So that would be the G. G is pretty important in G13. The 13 is also pretty important in it. And because it's a G13, it means it's a G dominant 13. And again, that dominant factor refers to our 7th and our relationship with the third. So that's the major 3rd and the minor 7th. And there we have it, a shortened version that is way more practical to actually play. But that's down to you, to what works best and what sounds best for you. With all of that being said, I hope that you have a better grasp and understanding of how to build chords diatonically and how to expand on them to make your playing more interesting. And I should also mention that learning diatonic chord theory, while useful in some ways, shouldn't be thought of as like a box or a set of limitations. Thanks for watching and take care.